Good morning, Tim Wilkin.
Hey, Rodger, that was a pretty nice intro. I guess I'll have to pay you for that, huh?
No, not really. Just, maybe you can help me make my selections on August the 5th when I'm a guest picker in your paper.
Well, that's all on you, my friend.
I know it is, my friend, and some years are better than others, that's for sure. But welcome to Big Board Sports on 104.5 The Team.
Hey, thanks.
What's that?
I said, hey, thanks.
You're welcome.
You guys are doing a good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Timmy. Your headline yesterday, Nyquist a long shot for the Spa. That is the Kentucky Derby winner. And it does not sound like after you spoke to trainer Doug O'Neill that it's going to make sense this summer for the Derby winner to be here.
No, it doesn't. I mean, there were three options they were going to have. One was the Haskell, where he's going to go. The Jim Dandy here the day before the Haskell on July the 30th. And the other option was to stay home and run at Del Mar in this race called the San Diego Handicap against older horses, including California Chrome, who many considers the best horse in the world after he won the Dubai World Cup. And I don't think that O'Neill said his second choice was going to be to stay home, so Saratoga was the third choice. But I don't think he wanted to face California Chrome in his first start since the Preakness. And I don't think he wants to face California Chrome until the Breeders' Cup. So, Doug painted the picture, with a hard decision and all that. But when I talked to Paul Redham, who's the owner, he said it wasn't that hard of a decision at all. They're going to come to Monmouth for that race. And if, they say the right things, they say if he runs well, they would consider the Travers or maybe the Pennsylvania Derby in late September at Parks. But he's going to go back to California after the Haskell. And they're not in any rush or they don't have a need or a want to ship again back east, especially with the Breeders' Cup being at Santa Anita. I think he goes back to Santa Anita after the Haskell, win or lose, and I think he waits until this race called the Awesome again, which is a prep for the Breeders' Cup in October, and that's it. I would be shocked if he comes here. Again, I was shocked that Farrell came here last year too.
So no Nyquist, Kentucky Derby winner. Obviously, last year, Tim. I mean, we had American Pharoah here. We had a Triple Crown winner in Saratoga. It almost seems like that's going to be hard to top this summer. But what are the headlines going to be? And can we still have a lot of buzz in Saratoga? Even though last year was at the pinnacle, in my opinion, something we've never had before. Triple Crown winner in Saratoga. We know what the buzz was last year. Can we get anywhere close to those kinds of headlines this summer and starting next Friday?
Well, you're not going to have the buzz, obviously, that you had, when American Pharoah was here. And, remember, Bob Baffert last year, he didn't decide until the Monday before the race he was coming. It was a lot of speculation and expectation and anticipation that he would come, but he didn't make the decision until I think it was a Sunday before after the last work. But American Pharoah was the headline for the Travers last year, even though he got beat. It wasn't a great betting race unless you were a big fan of Keen Ice. Went off at 17-1. But this year you got the Travers itself should be a marvelous betting race because you're going to have Exaggerator who won the Preakness. You're going to have Creator who won the Belmont. You're going to have Mohaymen, who was considered the Derby favorite until he got dusted by Nyquist in the Florida Derby. He's been off since the Kentucky Derby, and he's going to, I think he's going to run in the Jim Dandy and then the Travers. At first, Kieran McLaughlin was thinking he might go to the Haskell because he wanted to get a grade 1 because Mohaymen's just got a bunch of grade 2 wins. But I don't know if he's in any hurry to face Nyquist again. I think he stays home. Todd Fletcher's going to have Destin, the horse that finished second in the Belmont, only got beat a nose by Creator. He's going to be pointed towards the two of the Travers. I think he'll probably run in the Jim Dandy, and I think and his other horse, Stradivari, who was fifth in the Belmont, I believe fourth in the Preakness. I mean, he's a lightly raced horse, but now he's gotten a lot more experience in the graded stakes competition. He could be a factor. I think he's going to run on the race called the Curlin, an ungraded stake, which is the day before the Jim Dandy at Saratoga. So, you're not going to be lacking in star power for the Travers. I mean, it's going to be an intriguing betting race. And, I haven't even mentioned Chad Brown. I mean, he thought he might have 4 horses that could be possible for the Travers, and we'll have to see how that shakes out. And what a story that would be if they have a local guy have 4 horses if they all make it and be a factor in the Travers. And, we haven't even scratched the surface on some of the other races. There's going to be a lot of horses with star power coming here, including, the first weekend of the meet when Songbird, the 3-year-old filly, runs in the Coaching Club American Oaks. A lot of people think she might be the best 3-year-old in the country, period. And she's shipping here from California early next week. And if everything goes well in the Coaching Club Oaks, she's going to stay here and run in the Alabama, which would be a big boon for Saratoga. I mean, because this could be the best horse in the country. I mean, 3-year-old, if you're looking at straight 3-year-olds.
Tim, you mentioned American Pharoah, obviously Triple Crown winner a year ago. No Triple Crown this year. How do you like it from the sports perspective? What's better for the sport when you have now? So it took us 35 plus years to get a Triple Crown winner. Do you want to see it come with more regularity, or do you want to see it so it's so hard to attain and it keeps us watching year after year? How do you like it? More parity or more dominance?
Well, Brady, I think that that's a good point. If Nyquist, let's say for example, Nyquist had won the Triple Crown this year, then it gets to be, okay, maybe it isn't that hard. People were saying for years and years and years that it was too hard to win those 3 races in the span of 5 weeks because it hadn't been done, since Affirmed. But, I think that if it started happening with any regularity, I think it loses the way fans flock to the Belmont Stakes. I mean, if it happened every 2 years, then I think it's not as big as an accomplishment. I mean, back in the 70s when Secretariat won in 73, he was the first one that did it since 1948. And then in 1977, Seattle Slew did it, and then 1978, Affirmed did it. And then there was the big drought until Farrell. But I think there's some kind of a mystique about having a horse that can, win those 5 races. You have to be an awful special horse. And I think if it started happening with any kind of regularity, it's not going to be such a big deal. I mean, it's like, it's like watching any race. I mean, even though it's not. But if people start seeing it every year, I think it loses some of its mystique.
Tim Wilkin with us from the Times Union. The Saratoga racing season, can't wait, opens a week from Friday. Is this the summer, Tim Wilkin, that Mechanicville trainer Chad Brown, who's been so close, wins the training title and overtakes the king in Todd Pletcher for that prestigious title? Is this the summer that it happens because he's been so close the last couple?
Well, I believe he finished second the last 4 years. I mean, he had the lead going into the last week of last year's meet, and then Todd Pletcher went by him like a freight train. He just didn't have the right horses in the right conditions at the tail end of the meet. And I think that Chad will tell you that his goal is not to win this meet, because his goal is to get his horses in the right spots for his clients and win races. And he said he's not going to sacrifice, put a horse in a spot where maybe he doesn't belong, but he thinks he might have a chance to win. He said he's not going to do that. But deep down, I think he wants it really bad. I talked to both these guys recently, and Pletcher says that, and Pletcher's never said this before. He said that Chad is the favorite to win this year. When I mentioned that Chad Brown, he says, "Oh, he's just playing with my head." trust me, I mean, Fletcher's going to be loaded. If Fletcher has a good season with his 2-year-olds, and he's got like 50 of them up there. I mean, not 50 of them that could run up there. If he has a good 2-year-old season, he's going to be tough to beat. I mean, no one has the 2-year-olds that Fletcher has.
Always the case. Always the case.
And the thing too about this thing too, you have the people that here, they look at the standings and the jockeys and the trainer standings like they open up the paper every day to see what it's like. They're looking at the baseball standings. It doesn't happen anywhere else. I mean, people are very interested in how the trainers and the jockey races go here. Why? I don't know. I mean, but that's the way it is up here. And I think these guys are cognizant of that. And, you know, everybody wants to do well in Saratoga. It's the place where everybody's watching.
How much money are you going to make this summer?
I don't know.
Now, I got one more question because somebody that just sent me a text. Ask Wilkin, does he bet every day in the press? Do you bet every race every day?
No.
How many races do you bet a day? Sitting in that press box for as many hours as you're up there, how often do you go to the window?
It's not as much as you think. I mean, years ago, I bet all the time. I mean, now you pick your spots, and the press box and stuff. The people that are up there, you'd be surprised. People don't go to the window for every single race. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Unless when you're up there.
Yeah, Fridays, I'm there. You kidding me? I don't take that. Actually, that's not true. I used to bet every race, but I'd be in the poorhouse if I did that. So I've learned, I've matured over my 30 years, Tim Wilkin.
Well, we'll try to get you guys some winners this year. How's that?
That would be perfect, and look forward to seeing you in Saratoga a week from Friday, if you can believe it. Here we go with the Saratoga racing season. You know what that means, don't you?
Summer's over.
I hate to say it, but the summer's over. Oh, Bob Kovacic will be so upset with me. He hates when I go down that road, but you get to Saratoga, it flies by. Next thing you know, we're high school football practice, we're college football practice, we're college football season, we're NFL training camp started. Yeah, that's the way it goes once you get to the opening day.
You're going to be back to school shopping before you know it.
You got
You're
that right.
You're not kidding. And it's over in a blink, too.
It is. Tim, thanks. I look forward to seeing you. Have a great meet in Saratoga. I'm sure we'll talk many, many times.
Thanks, Rodger. Thanks, Brady.